And so today I am going to talk about the most powerful sales tool that you're not using. Now, we operate in a pretty heavy e-commerce environment. We do thousands of transactions online every day, books and audio programs and training programs and I mean, everything you can imagine, shirts and hats and wristbands and all kinds of stuff, right? So, like, we are constantly trying to figure out ways and tweak ways that we are handling this digital customer. So we're engaging in text message. We're using messenger bots. We have live chat on our website. We're doing trying to video conference people. Text messages has been a big thing for us recently. But what happens is you start relying on all these pieces of technology. How can we communicate to people on the site? How can we, use emails more creatively? How can we put together this copy on this landing page or put a chat feature in here so we can engage with people on chat? Without fail, the number one tool that we have that gets the most results, that cuts the most time out of all the communication, the number one tool that we use is the phone. Now, if you are like in B2B sales, or you are you're cold calling face to face, you're engaging with customers in a different way. Like our sales team in there, we're constantly making phone calls all day, every day. If you're knocking doors, you're going out, you're knocking on a door, you're seeing a customer face to face. What tends to happen, and we're guilty of this, that's why we're talking about this, is that we start relying on text messages and DMs and Facebook comment engagement. We start engaging with the customer in all these ways, but we forget that by picking up the phone, we can move the fastest. And so for a lot of you out there who have web-based businesses, online businesses, my wife built a coaching business, and all she does is she messages people on Instagram. And I'm constantly telling her, I'm like, pick up the phone, get these people on the phone, like find a way to get into communication with them. And without fail, whenever she picks up the phone and she gets on the phone with somebody, deals happen. So do not run away from this thing called the phone. It's not going away, and it's a great way for you to get in front of customers. So the first thing that the phone does is it provides you with speed of communication. I can send an email out. I can wait for somebody to open an email. I can wait and see if somebody's going to click on the offer when they get to the page. But what I can also do is I can also pick up the phone. So like one of the things that we do with emails is, like, when we send out a bunch of emails, we look at how people are engaging with the emails. So if somebody opens the email, that represents more interest than somebody who doesn't open the email at all. They may see it, but they're not interested enough. Their interest level isn't high enough to engage with the email. So they go into like the bottom bucket. Somebody clicks an email, they open it, they're in that kind of that next level of interest. So we have a bucket for that. When somebody goes into an email, they click on the link inside of an email to see an offer, that's bucket 3 of interest. Now the higher the number, the more interest. And then the fourth bucket would be if somebody clicks and they abandon a cart. They click, they go to the page, they go to checkout, and then they abandon cart. So those are kind of our 4 interest buckets that we have. Now, what we could do is we could send emails and communications to the abandoned carts and try to capture that business back. But instead, what we do is to add speed to the process. The next day, every single person in the abandoned cart bucket gets a phone call, okay? The next bucket down from that, rather than, these are people that click through but didn't convert, rather than sending retargeting ads, which we do, and rather than sending additional emails, which we do, we put them into a phone call. Get them on a phone list and make a phone call. Why? Because I don't have to wait for them to see an ad that they're being retargeted with. I don't have to wait for them to get a follow-up email that I send that they're going to open at 6 o'clock that night when it's 11 a.m. in the morning. It gives me speed. It gives me the ability to close the distance. Even when you're chatting with somebody on a messenger, Facebook Messenger, or DMs on IG, or email, whatever, like even if you're in communication, there can be gaps. And then words don't always communicate the right way. So the second thing that the phone gets you is it actually gets you confidence because it puts you into communication. So like when we start figuring like, hey, well, why are people putting a seat in their cart, but they're not checking out? When we get people who are clicking through on links and they're getting to a web page, but they're not converting. When we pick up the phone, we can contact them with speed, number one. Number two, we start getting confidence with what is out. I'm trying to like give you guys like a behind the scenes look at how we start fixing things that aren't working the way that they should. Or if if you have something where you're just like, man, I know something's just not, sales aren't where they should be. Customers aren't purchasing as much of this as they should. We're not getting as many leads. Maybe you're getting leads on your website. We're not getting as much leads as I think we should. What you need to start looking through is like, how do I just get into contact with somebody who had the experience so that I can figure out what's out? Because you can speculate all you want, but until you look at something through the eyes of the customer and you understand their experience, you're never going to get an answer to your problem. You're going to create a lot of the wrong answers, but you're never going to get an answer to the real problem. But what happens is when you move into internet world, people end up shying away from the most powerful tool in sales, which is a phone. Number one, it gives you speed of communication. Number two, it gives you confidence. I know now what I need to fix. Number three, it gives me clarity in the communication that I'm having. Like oftentimes what happens is people aren't doing the thing that you want them to do because they're confused. So like if I won't know what's wrong with the page and have confidence in that until I know what the customer's experiencing. Like I need to have the ability to clearly communicate with a customer so that I know what they're experiencing. And you can do that over text message. You can do that over DMs, but I promise you, it's gonna take longer. If you've ever been, maybe you've had this experience before, where like you start emailing back and forth with somebody, and then you're just like, I just need to pick up the phone. Like, have you ever experienced that before? Somebody was in my office and they were telling me that they ran a big company. Like we had a rule, if it required more than 2 emails, pick up the phone. Like obviously something is getting lost in translation. And so the real purpose of this show is to make sure that this thing right here is something that you are still using as a primary sales tool in whatever business that you're in. If you have any qualms about picking up a phone and talking to somebody and having a conversation with them, you will have to settle for less than you're capable of, less than you deserve, less than your potential. Because of the power of this thing, because of what it allows you to do in a very short period of time. Is it efficient if you're trying to scale a massive offer online? No, but you're never gonna scale an offer of anything if you don't have confidence in the sales asset, website, landing page, ad video, and you don't have clarity in what the customer is communicating to you about their experience. You can't scale anything until you have those things in place. And so my message to you today is use this wherever possible. If there's if you have a group of customers, like people that have tried to do something with you before, pick up the phone. Like for example, one of the things that we do is if we are closing a customer, or we're trying to close a customer, we're doing a sales presentation and they don't convert, the first thing we do is we have a manager call them, not email them, call them. Could they send an email? Sure. Is there a chance the email doesn't get answered? Yep. Is there a chance that the phone call doesn't get answered? Of course. But I know that the best way to get a feedback from a sales presentation, from a decision maker that my team did, is by picking up the phone and calling somebody. So think about what you get when you actually speak to somebody on the phone. You know, like have you ever, like this happens with my wife, if you're married, you totally get this. Like I'll say something via text and it gets taken the wrong way. I'm like, judging by the response that I got back, that was not how I intended this communication. So then I got to pick up the phone call. I said, hey, calm down. Step down off the ledge right now and put down the weapon. Like that was not how this was meant. Because you can't communicate via text communication. Like you can't communicate emotion. Like I communicate in pretty short sentences. Like I'm short when I communicate via text. When I talk, it's different. And you can emote, and you can have tone, and you can do all those things when you're speaking to somebody. And sometimes somebody's communication to you can come off the wrong way too. Like Glenn had a customer who misunderstood an offer that we had and was like, motherfucking blah, 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 like blowing him up. At least that's how Glenn took it. So he's like, yo man, this guy's pissed, right? So like, how do we know if that guy's really upset or if he's just like, come on, man? We don't know. Got to pick up the phone and call him. So we pick up the phone, we make a call. Grant actually made the call. So why do you think Grant does that? Why do you think Grant picks up the phone and makes phone calls? Because he knows how powerful that device is, and he wants everybody in our web team to see the power of picking up the phone. Duran, my man, stand up, Duran. Where are you at? Is he here? There he is. I don't know if you can see my man Duran over there. No. But this guy's, he's an email marketing guy. That's his deal. His deal is email marketing. He came to work here. He started seeing like all the deals that were getting made over the phone, and he's like, man, I want to make some money. So now he works as an email marketer from 8 in the morning until 6:30 at night. And then at 6:30, he turns on sales mode and he picks up the phone and he starts banging deals. He's working, you know, he's doing that every day now because he's like, dude, there's opportunity around here and I want to get connected to it. And he knows that picking up the phone is a way to collapse time and get into communication with people. If you have reservations about the phone, if you're relying too much on one thing, you are like cutting yourself short. You are selling yourself short. You are settling for less than you deserve. Particularly if you're in a business that relies on technology, like my man Cody Kearns. He has an internet marketing company. He helps people with Instagram. He helps market on Instagram, grow their following, grow their audience, grow their influence on Instagram. A lot of the stuff that they do is over DM because that's the primary communication platform. Will his business be more effective if he said, shoot me your number, let's jump on a call? 100%. That doesn't mean he has to communicate with every customer like that, but he should offer that as a method of communication. You should never rely on one form of anything. Never rely on one form of communication, never rely on one follow-up call, never rely on one deal in your pipeline, never rely on one offer, never rely on one of anything. So you need to figure out like which of these, like when you think about like email, personal visits, phone calls, DMs, text messages, social posts, comments, like handwritten letters, when you start thinking about all these different tools that you have of communication, which are you underutilizing? Everybody has their favorite. Everybody has their favorite. I use email more now than I ever have in my life. Like, because now I'm communicating with all these people, and sometimes it's just not effective to pick up the phone, but that doesn't mean I won't pick up the phone. So you have to like look at, like take an inventory of how you're communicating with people and know that the phone is the most powerful sales tool that you're not using because you're relying so much on email, text messages, and social media, DMs, messages, messenger, blah, 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 blah. I'm telling you, this is from personal experience. We've been going through it the last few weeks. We've made a commitment to shifting this. It's working already. Even us, we're focused on this all the time, every day. We teach people how to do this. And even for us, we start getting loose on execution. So we got to bring it back together. So just like the way we brought the team back together today and we reminded of the phone, I'm coming here today to bring you back together and tell you, pick up the phone.